agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran, welcoming you on this Thursday, the 26th day of the month. Ilang tulog na lang, Hunyo na po. Okay, so it's May 26, 2022. Welcome, and we thank you for being subscribers of Cignal TV, viewers of One News PH on channels 8 and 250, and of course, for following us here on Agenda. Please feel free to send us a message, email, if there are topics or personalities you feel would have something positive, affirmative, something instructional, informational, and aspirational to share, because that is what we are trying to evolve into, a program that is a blessing, and aside from bringing you the current events and news of the day. Okay, today let's start Thursday with our daily starter, and it's a good reminder. Tandaan po ninyo ito. Make this one of your 10 commandments in making friends, one of your 10 commandments in entering into relationships, and one of your 10 commandments in joining people in business, okay? And it comes from the business magnate Warren Buffett, yung pang napaka-mayaman. I think he's now the third or fourth richest man in the world. I'm not sure anymore who is, but look for three things in a person: intelligence, energy, and integrity. If they don't have the last one, don't even bother with the first two. Now, this is important because we are often impressed when someone is so intelligent, who speaks so well, who communicates so well, is a visionary, and lalo na if the person has energy. Wow, we got to do this. Is this going to work? Blah, 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 even in relationships, But if they don't have integrity, and how do you measure integrity? Are they a person who keeps their word? Are they a person who who holds him or herself accountable, who is honest even to the point of admitting their own fault or shortcoming? Because people who cannot admit their own faults, shortcomings, even their fears, well, that person is not exactly one with integrity. Integrity is not just about about honesty, but being a total person, kumbaga complete package. So remember that if a person does not have integrity, don't bother for looking at their intelligence and their energy, kasi baka kayo matraidor. Okay, now today we will be interviewing two individuals. Please stay tuned because we will be talking about monkeypox. We will be talking to our resource person what is going on with these repeated cases of COVID in Puerto Princesa coming from diving boats. And then also we will be speaking with someone who will be discussing with us a plant-based diet, plant-based regimen. Kasi alam nyo po, many of you may not realize it, but apparently many of the top super athletes, performers, okay, whether in track and field, bodybuilding, in combat sport, they're actually now living plant-based lives. And just so that I can speak with integrity, I am now on the second week. We started 1 week ago. Now this is our second week of being plant-based. Kumbaga, no meat. And we will discuss that later. But first, let's go to the front page of the Philippine Star, May 26, 2022. And there you go. Marcos and Sara proclaimed president and vice president. Okay. The House of Representatives and the Senate jointly proclaimed Bongbong Marcos Ferdinand, Bongbong Marcos Jr., and Sara Duterte as President and Vice President after the 2022 elections. At the top of the front page, Department of Finance proposes to BBM removal of VAT exemptions. Okay. Now, some of you will surely, what? Hindi pa nga namin nakokolekta, removal na. Okay. Well, apparently, the Department of Finance believes that by removing the VAT exemptions, okay, they will collect over 130 billion, I believe, in taxes for debt servicing o pambayad utang. That will surely become a very controversial proposal. We will see, okay? All the photos that you see on the top of the front page and the middle part are involves the proclamation of Bongbong Marcos and Sara Duterte. Meanwhile, a lawyer vlogger has been named press secretary. Lawyer and radio commentator Trixie Cruz Angeles has been named press secretary in the incoming cabinet of President-elect BBM. Okay. She, however, will not be the spokesperson so far. Kasi ang declaration po ni BBM is he will not appoint a spokesperson. Meanwhile, the Department of Health is considering the use of smallpox vaccine versus the monkeypox. Okay, hindi po ito biro. Ang sama po tingnan, okay? The monkeypox attack is very painful. It leaves lesions. So please be careful about this. We will discuss that with our guest today. Meanwhile, 20 million peso teachers honoraria released this week. According to the Commission on Elections, those who helped in the conduct of elections, particularly teachers, will be paid their salary allowances this week. Then puro negative yata ang balita from removal of VAT. The government has now announced that starting June 1, Filipino workers returning from abroad will have to arrange for their own transport for going back because there will be no more free repatriation flights for OFWs. Okay. 14 more Palawan tourists positive for COVID. We will also discuss that alongside the monkeypox problem. The photo that you see on the bottom right, that is probably one of the most tragic news of this month. It is the killing of 19 school children and 2 teachers in Texas. Okay, a teenager, an 18-year-old teenager, first shot his grandmother, got into the car, ended up in the schoolyards where he went to school, and proceeded to shoot his schoolmates, killing 19 of them, as well as 2 teachers. And kung nanonood po kayo sa Facebook, lumabas po doon yung isang coach. I just forget what team he was a coach of. And he said, today I am not going to talk to you about basketball. I am going to talk to you about how 50 U.S. senators have opposed stricter background check on people applying for gun purchase, kasi yung pong teenager na yon, isang cabinet yata ng baril bala ang naipon. Anyway, we'll go for a quick break. When we return, we will speak with our first guest regarding monkeypox, regarding the COVID cases in Puerto Princesa, etc., etc. Please keep it here on One News PH. Welcome to the program agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. Thank you for joining us today. And our first topic involves the monkeypox. What do you know about the monkeypox? It's not the smallpox. It's a different variety, and based on what has been printed by the World Health Organization, it is transmitted with lesions, body fluids, respiratory droplets, contaminated materials such as bedding, etc., etc. There is also another angle where it is suggested that it could partially be sexually transmitted, etc., but it seems to have been detected in so many countries all over all over the world, particularly in America, in Europe, and in Scandinavian countries. Okay, now let's go to our resource person. Sana maturuan tayo ng professor. He's not just a professor, but he is the director for the Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, UP National Institutes of Health, infectious disease consultant, UP College of Medicine and PGH, or Philippine General Hospital, and adjunct faculty for global health at the University of Pittsburgh. I speak of none other, a previous guest here on Agenda, Dr. Edsel Salvana. Doc, good morning. You're on mute.
Yeah, good morning, Cito. Good morning to everyone who's listening and watching.
Okay, thank you for your time. I know you're a busy person, but I just couldn't get over this monkeypox at the rate that the sensation, if I may, has been escalating. So we want to put it where it is. Is it really cause for alarm? Is it something na, ay, malayo yan, dun yan, hindi dito?
Yeah, sensation is actually the correct word. Although there are some unusual presentations that they're starting to see. So I've actually seen monkeypox. In 2003, when I was training in Milwaukee, there was an outbreak in Illinois from infected prairie dogs that were in turn infected by African rodents. So wala namang namatay actually at that point. But of course, it caused a lot of panic kasi it looks like smallpox. And alam naman natin na smallpox can be used as a bioterrorism weapon. So monkeypox is in the same family as smallpox and also cowpox. Now, yung cowpox, it's also known as vaccinia virus, and that is what is used as a vaccine for smallpox. In fact, the word vaccine comes from the cowpox vaccine for smallpox, and that's why we call it vaccines, because of vaccinia. So the cowpox virus protects against smallpox, and that's why it's used as the smallpox vaccine. It also protects against monkeypox about 85% of the time. And that's why they're saying na even though wala tayong specific monkeypox virus, you can use the smallpox vaccine to protect against monkeypox. So meron na tayong protection in place, but it's a live vaccine. So, it's not something you want to deploy all over the place because, even especially for immunocompromised people, they might actually get a mild form of cowpox or a more severe form of cowpox. So at this point, yung monkeypox cases that we're seeing globally, I think there are a little over 100 cases in different countries. These are showing up in men who have sex with men. And that's why they're thinking that this might be a sexually transmitted disease among these men. Yes. But of course, it's close contact. So lesions, pwedeng saliva, pwedeng big respiratory droplets. Not the small ones na yung like for COVID. If you pass by somebody, lalo na with Omicron and Delta, you can get it. Ito prolonged contact talaga. And of course, sex is close contact. And so that's what they think. So number one, monkeypox is nowhere near as deadly as COVID at this point, yung nakita natin. And second, it's nowhere near as contagious as COVID. So we have the things that we do to trace, to prevent, to actually investigate these cases and contain them are actually in place, and we're able to detect these. You can sequence them, you can isolate them. In fact, the thing about monkeypox is because it has a long incubation period, mga 14 days, if may exposure to someone, you can actually give them the smallpox vaccine within 4 days, and you can prevent the emergence of monkeypox. So we have a lot of tools that we can use, and it's nowhere near COVID na wala talaga tayong alam 2 years ago.
Okay, there has been, well, ayoko naman maging Negatron Doc Edsel, no? But there were some pronouncements here and there that, oh, don't worry, the government is watching the borders to prevent the entry of smallpox. Sabi ko, ano yan, nagba-blood test kayo dun sa, sa arrival? Parang, I just don't want people to have a false sense of security. Now, there is no way of tracing this until it manifests. Am I correct?
Right. So the initial symptoms of monkeypox are actually flu-like illnesses. So fever, cough, colds, which is exactly what we look for COVID anyway. So that is one way of screening. So obviously some people lie. They won't do that. But, we have our cameras, we have our thermal scanners, and everyone's continuing to wear masks. And at least from the droplet perspective, that is actually sufficient to prevent transmission through that route. So we do have the things that we do for COVID are also effective for monkeypox.
Okay, now as far as containment is concerned, you said that if someone is exposed and vaccinated for smallpox within 4 days, you can stop it. Is this an absolute fact, Dr. Salvana?
Well, they've done it for smallpox actually, but there haven't been as many cases of monkeypox, unfortunately. There are also medications that work against smallpox, which have been shown and are approved in Europe for monkeypox. And so, hindi talaga tayo zero. Ibang-iba to sa COVID na yung, if you remember 2 years ago, we had no idea what the heck we were doing. But now we have vaccines, we have treatment. For monkeypox, noong 2003, nag-outbreak sa US, nagpanic na lahat ng tao at that time. And so a lot of treatments were developed. The US also stockpiled a lot of smallpox vaccines because they know aside from smallpox, they can use this for monkeypox. And same in Europe. So hindi tayo zero dito. This is a known entity. It's re-emerging and it has an unusual presentation right now because it's not considered a sexually transmitted disease. But now I guess it's going to be. But at the same time, the way it spreads is not as severe as COVID, and the manifestations, except siguro for people who have a lot of comorbid infections, even if you get monkeypox, it's survivable.
Okay, now since you're here with us already, please allow me to take advantage. I have no idea if you've been, if you have access to information from down south, but this morning I just saw in the news that another batch of foreign tourists were tested positive for COVID-19. Now, this is the second batch, and the circumstances are the same. They all arrived in the Philippines, they got into dive boats, they went to Tubataha, and they went back to Puerto Princesa because they were all sick. Now, do you have any idea what's going on? Because, one would think one incident is enough to clamp down and check trace where this is why this is happening, but we got hit within, I think, the same month.
Yeah, so the problem with Omicron talaga, it's super contagious. It's like, yun nga, dadaan ka lang eh. And if you don't wear your mask consistently, a lot of these people, kasi may pre-departure testing going to the Philippines eh. So presumably, unless they cheated, negative yan lahat, which means that they must have acquired it within 48 hours of their travel or during travel. So that's how contagious kasi talaga COVID is. And then you put them in the same boat, literally. They're going to infect each other. That's how contagious it is. I don't have the details on those cases yet, but the first batch, if you recall, they were all BA.2.12.1, which is a new sublineage of Omicron, which is causing some outbreaks in the US. But because all of these people were vaccinated, alam naman natin na we don't let foreigners in without vaccination dito sa Pilipinas. They were either all asymptomatic or mild. And in that sense, while it is alarming na medyo dumadami yung cases, the vaccines are still doing the job of preventing severe disease. And when that happens, as long as we have our isolation and quarantine protocols in place, we can contain it.
Okay, last question na lang, Doc, since you're here. I also came across an alert that there has been an increase in dengue cases. Do you have any updates on that?
Right. I don't have specific updates, but I mean, as more and more people go out, and of course, dengue is what we call hyper endemic in the Philippines. There's transmission the whole year round.
Yeah.
But of course, during rainy season, which is already starting, we see more and more of those because there's more puddles going around. So it's not unusual for dengue cases to go up, lalo na lumalabas na rin yung mga bata. So, I mean, it's a real problem if there are a big cluster of cases tapos we're still dealing with COVID. Pag napuno yung hospitals, there's a lot of pressure on our healthcare system. So, we need to monitor these, do the things that we do to prevent dengue, empty out your flower vases with stagnant water. And especially for the kids, you can have them wear some insect repellents and stuff. So very, very important that we're aware.
Yeah, Doc, whatever happened to the Dengvaxia? Because my daughter was part of that batch of, I think, 700,000 ba yun, who were vaccinated. She and her friends never got dengue, but no one seems to have ever said anything about it because, again, it may have been sensationalized. No one has really come out with the science or the research on what was the real, what is fact and fiction as far as the vaccine is concerned. Because, people die from dengue, and if the vaccines can be used, we should be using them.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things. Just so you know, Dengvaxia has been approved in the United States, in Singapore, in Europe. So the science is sound. It does work. The concern really is giving it to somebody who's never had dengue before. Because you want to give it to someone who's had at least one dengue case because you're trying to prevent the second dengue infection, which is the more severe one. And that was really the controversy because they did not test for previous dengue infection in all these kids. However, we know that in the Philippines, 8 years old and above, about 85% of them already have had one dengue infection. And so yung kailangan talagang bantayan is the 15% that never had it. And so that cohort is being followed by DOH. But the important thing to understand rin is that to move forward with this vaccine, they want to have a quick test that you can check if somebody has had dengue before. And these rapid tests have actually already been developed, and we're waiting to see if WHO will approve them. Para if you're going to do a vaccination, you can actually do a quick test, just like with the blood tests, with the antibody tests. So that's one thing. The second is that there's actually a second dengue vaccine that's already been proven to work, made by a company called Takeda. And so there are two. Unfortunately, Dengvaxia has not had its certificate of product registration renewed in the Philippines kasi it was revoked dati. And now I haven't seen whether Takeda has applied for it. But there's a huge need for an effective dengue vaccine in a country like ours and the world over because millions and millions of people get dengue every year. So if we can get past this stigma and then we also have as a second line this screening test now we can tell that somebody's had dengue before, then maybe we can start to reintroduce it. I think everyone's hoping for that.
Okay, pahabol na question. If you don't mind, there is this question from our news desk. Any update on plans to procure the monkeypox vaccine? Have you heard anything from the DOH on this?
Right. So I mean I haven't heard anything specific. The monkeypox vaccine is basically the smallpox vaccine. And a lot of countries have stockpiled that. We haven't kasi wala naman tayong bioterrorism issues at this point here. But again, the countries that are our allies like the United States, the CDC, if this does happen, then we can ask for help. But the thing is, we don't recommend giving smallpox vaccine to a large number of people right now. First of all, this monkeypox thing, this monkey business, I was almost said.
Correct. Sensational monkey
Right.
business.
Is right now being investigated, but again, it's not very transmissible. It's not all that deadly. So very important to put it into perspective, because if we start vaccinating people, again, this is a live vaccine. Somebody might have a bad reaction to it, and you cause more harm because konti-konti lang yung cases na piniprevent mo. So there has to be a graduated response. We have to be a little bit more reasonable. We have to listen to the science so that we keep everyone safe.
Thank you very much, Dr. Edsel Salvana. As always, very direct to the point, very clear, very crisp. Have a good day, Doc, and God bless you.
Have a good day, Cito. See you around and stay safe.
Okay, that's Dr. Edsel Salvana, member of the Department of Health Technical Advisory Group and Director for the Institute of Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, UP National Institute of Health. We'll go for a break. When we return, try to learn more about this alternative diet that I am on. It's called plant-based diet, and I will attest to the fact that it's something very different, and it is not so difficult as we thought it would be. We'll be right back here on Agenda to talk about plant-based diet and lifestyle. Welcome back to the program Agenda. I'm your host, Cito Beltran. And now we will talk about plant-based diets. About 20 years ago, as our guest would say, if you ate nothing but vegetables and fruits, you would be referred to as meh, a goat, or a cow, okay? And my other friends naman who want to defend their carnivorous lifestyle, they would tell you, but cows eat grass, and if cows eat grass, it's a vegetarian. If I eat a cow, I'm a vegetarian. But that's all to just make light of the subject matter, but it is a subject matter that I have been taking seriously lately, but our guest is a 20-plus year veteran of the plant-based diet. She is the founder of the first Saan ko ba nakita yun? First, food, more plant-based delivery in La Union. She is a certified plant-based professional, owner of My Plant Kitchen, none other than Khristine Tamayo. Khristine, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay, Khristine, I already did the intro. You've been at this for more than 20 years now. What was the driving factor for you to go into plant-based diet? What was it like 20 years ago, and how has the situation changed? The floor is yours, madam.
Yes, sir. When I started 22 years ago, to be exact, it wasn't like how mainstream it is now. Yeah, before you wouldn't find much restaurants walang menu that had vegan options, plant-based options, as in wala at the time. There was only one that I knew of, a restaurant that my mom was running. She was managing it. And at the time, I wasn't vegetarian. It was my mom that was vegetarian. And I during summer break, I would go help her at the restaurant, and I would taste all this food, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you're not missing out actually, because there were a lot of meat alternatives as well.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would make some, and so after high school, that's when my sister and I decided, let's give it a go. Let's try it. Let's switch. Let's do it tomorrow. And then we did it the next day, and we're like, okay, I think we can do this. But the problem is we didn't know how to cook, because we come from a family of great cooks. And so, we were really starting from scratch, my sister and I. And so my mom was busy, so she couldn't really cook much for us. So that drove us to we did our research. We tested all the recipes that we wanted, all the sinigang, all the things that we really wanted. We veganized it, in other words. And so at the time, comparing that time and this time, around this time, it's such a big difference. Like now you can go to restaurants, almost every menu has a plant-based option. Grocery stores, you can find almost everything there. You can find even mock meats. They call it mock meats. Those are meat alternatives. Unlike before, you wouldn't find those things in the grocery stores. So, ang laki talaga. It's such a big difference talaga. Now it has become really mainstream, and we're super happy about that.
Okay, a lot of people, Khristine, would be asking, why would I become a vegan? Or actually, I think most people who are living the plant-based diet don't like being called vegans. They say, please, let's not get into that because that's been so stigmatized. It's a plant-based. We are simply eating food that comes from plants, and we don't like being called vegetarians. What's the story there?
Actually, when you say plant-based, there's a different levels actually. So you can be a vegetarian. You can be considered plant-based because it's like mostly your diet is comprised mostly of plants. So same thing with veganism. Being vegan, you're also plant-based. And there's another level which is a stricter vegan, which is called the whole food plant-based diet. Now there are different levels of that. So if you're a vegetarian, there's like two kinds. There's one that that has dairy and eggs, and one that just has dairy without eggs. Vegans, you eliminate any byproduct of animals that includes like gelatin, beeswax, pati leather. There's different kinds. And then if you're in a whole food plant-based diet, you're basically like vegan, but you eliminate oils, sugars, refined grains, and refined flour. So ang dami nun. So I don't see any reason why kailangan may,
Okay. Now, what are the benefits and side effects? Because I'm only on my second week, essentially 11 days of only plant-based diet. But I've been on an 80-20, 80% vegetables, 20% meat. But what are the benefits? Because there's so many promises for this kind of lifestyle.
Yes, actually, the benefits are there are a lot depending on if you're really into it. Yeah. You first thing like kasi in my plant kitchen, I have this every now and then I have a 5-day plant-based challenge wherein I have participants going on a plant-based diet for 5 days, and I provide their lunch and dinner, and so every day for 5 days. And so after those 5 days, first thing they say, "Oh my God, Christina, I feel lighter, really, without the bloatness, of the meat and stuff. Parang they can eat so much, but still they don't feel bloated." So that's one of the things that they feel. Another thing is their energy level is like really good. It increases their energy level because when you're on a meat diet, usually talagang you feel heavy. You feel heavy, especially if you eat at night. And the next day, you feel like pagod na pagod ka. Yeah, because your body has a hard time digesting meat. Actually, it takes 3 to 5 days for your body to digest meat. However, if you're in a plant-based diet, it just takes like 24 hours to 36 from point of entry to exit. Yeah. So yeah, you feel lighter, and then it provides you energy, and you'll see it can even reverse chronic diseases if you really
Yeah, can you speak on that? Can you talk a little more about that? Because I've heard people who said that I used to be on so much medication. They had so many maintenance medicines for high blood pressure, but when they got into plant-based diet, the blood pressure levels started to come down within a period of a month or 2 months, and within a year, many of them are no longer taking those same maintenance medicines. What have you observed in your community?
Yes, that's true. Because with meat, actually, a lot of people think meat is like they take it for protein talaga. Actually, plant food has protein. Every single vegetable, you have beans, you have tofu, all of that have protein. So a lot of people think that that's like the primary component on their plate. It's like a big chunk of their plate is comprised of meat, and parang garnish na lang yung veggies on the side. Yeah. And so with meat kasi, there's really no fiber in it, and you're talking about cholesterol as well. However, in a plant-based diet, you don't have cholesterol, and it's full of fiber, and that's what your body needs, really. Now, I'm also an advocate for lifestyle medicine, which they also promote plant-based diet. Now, with lifestyle medicine, kasi it utilizes lifestyle interventions as a primary therapeutic tool to reverse chronic diseases. So now, with the lifestyle medicine, you have your nutrition, which is a plant-based diet. Then, syempre, you add your exercise. They tackle also the sleep, your stress management. So marami yan.
We interviewed the first certified lifestyle physician in the country a few days ago, and he did elaborate on it is real medicine. You need to have a doctor's degree, a certification. And he was saying everything that you said. But so lifestyle medicine, and part of that lifestyle medicine is nutrition, which is what you're advocating.
Yes, it's a big part of lifestyle medicine, yung nutrition talaga. So what
I just noticed, Christina, kasi I don't know if I did the correct thing. When my wife and I decided, because my wife is Dutch, and we decided, I said, let's do this. But I said, don't cook for the first week because it's just too much hassle for you. to be trying to figure it out. You just order from all the vegetarian restaurants for the first week, and then on the second week, mag-transition na tayo. And that seems to work. Is that the key for people to be able to do this easier?
Actually, for what it really pays know how to if you know how to cook. So when you're shifting to a plant-based diet, you it would be really helpful if you know how to cook. And if not, then like me, when I started, I knew nothing about cooking, and I really did all my research. You know, you do all your research. Right now, it's everywhere on the internet. You can get all these ideas. But then, syempre, some ingredients we don't have here in the Philippines. So you just have to substitute. Like for me, I always tell my clients, you know, what's your favorite dish? Have a list of, you know, the things that you really love, and then learn how to cook it, and that thing will be your default, you know. And then from there you can start adding more cuisines. There's no okay naman to order like food deliveries and stuff. Yeah, we just have to always think na veganism is not what they call this, how do I put it, it's healthy. Yes, it is healthy, but also you have to think of you have to eat less of the processed foods, yeah, and more of the whole food.
Processed food, yeah, because a lot of this a lot of the people who I saw on those studies, documentaries, they love to eat mga chips, mga cookies, etc. And apparently that was at least a quarter of the problem. Now, you have this My Plant Kitchen. Could you just elaborate that to us? Because I've been going through these things, and some people simply offer the products, but not many people are offering like, okay, here's a cookbook. This is, you were talking about the recipes, the materials. What does your My Plant Kitchen do?
Okay, I started my plant kitchen as a passion project back in 2018 or 17, somewhere there. And at first, I did it as a delivery service. I did make food thrice a week. I had a menu, and so that's how it started. And then after, because at the time there wasn't really any plant-based options here in La Union, so I was pretty much the first one, and I had people really interested in it. So it started like that, meal delivery services, and then I had cooking demos, because everyone, after they have the meals, they're like, how can I learn? You know, how do we do this? Yes, there is information on the internet, but how can they want to have some kind of hands-on training? So that's where I had cooking workshops, live cooking workshops. These are all like pre-pandemic, yeah. Cooking workshops and all of this. I post recipes online on my pages. So this is basically to really help them, you know, transition. And I always tell them, you know, when you transition, don't be too hard on yourself, you know, kasi parang they think it's like a deprivation diet. Parang bukas kailangan you have to eliminate all of this. You know, if you have a hard time.
I have to confess, I have a slab. I have a whole slab of steaks, sliced steaks, and I like, please just keep them in the freezer. I cannot kiss them goodbye, but I don't know. I mean, you know, I just realized, if I'm going to do this, why will I go back to that? So,
yes.
Yeah.
So part of the things that I tell people, if you want to start already, do a pantry reset. Now, when I say a pantry reset, you take out all the things that are not plant-based in your pantry. Like what I said, if you have meat, then if you want, give it away first. Yeah, if you're really serious into jumping into this journey, and then do a pantry reset. Right now, you can buy all these ingredients in the groceries and health food stores. So yeah, so that Because syempre, if you're shifting out to a plant-based diet and you see on the side, oh, there's this thing, it looks so tempting to take, parang it defeats the purpose then. So parang you clear your pantry and put all the plant-based options there. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Khristine, let's just go for a quick break. When we return, I'll ask you to go on fast track because we don't have so much time, but this is very useful information. We'll be right back with Khristine Tamayo here on Agenda. We're back here on Agenda. Thank you for being with us, and joining us once again is Khristine Tamayo, owner of My Plant Kitchen, and she has been at this for 22 years. So Khristine, a quick review. It is something that people should consider because it's part of lifestyle medicine where nutrition is important, and many people have benefited from this. We were talking about your My Plant Kitchen. Now, you do courses, etc., or lessons. Now, what about, because you are out in La Union, my wife will probably go enroll in your class there with our daughter. But for those who can't go but really want to get into, because I think this is the challenge, many people don't realize that Filipino food, if you go historic, was predominantly plant-based with kare-kare, munggo, etc., ampalaya, talong. But in your kitchen, I suppose it's more modern cuisine.
Yes, actually, I do have Filipino cuisines also in my menu. And so, yes, I try to show people, you can veganize everything, all the different kinds. You have your Italian dishes, you have your Spanish dishes. That's why I had this delivery.
For instance, na, para malinaw tayo. Sample nga, Khristine, Italian or sample dish. What kind of Italian or sample traditional Spanish dish can you veganize?
Yes, I've made paella for Spanish dishes, chorizo as well. I've done that also. Italian dishes. So I make the pasta, different kinds of pastas. I also have calzone. So marami ganun. So yeah, everyone.
Where do people make the mistake, Khristine? Kasi when you talk to people, the vegetarian, vegan, it's so bland, it's tasteless, even this mock meat, walang lasa, it turns people off. Where is the misconception?
Actually, yes, that's very true. A lot of people think it's very bland and tasteless. But actually, syempre, it's in your cooking. If you want people to learn about plant-based food, you gotta make something really nice and tasty. Yes, it's healthy, but it can also be delicious. So I think it's really flavoring your dishes. That's really it. I always tell my clients, you have to work with spices. You have to work with spices, work with flavors. Syempre, if you're like even if when you weren't vegan, you know how adobo tastes like, you know how kare-kare tastes like. So it's easy to replicate that. All you need to do is, substitute the meat part in the dish. So, but you know the flavor of it. So it's easy. You really have to learn how to taste and adjust the seasoning. Really work with spices. That's all there is.
Okay,
Yeah.
flavoring and working with spices. Now, for those hardcore, because a friend of mine said, Kuyang, if you're serious about this, you should try this restaurant and this grocery because doon ka palang makakatikim ng lechon kawali made of tofu. And then someone else talked about a special kind of burger made, a burger chain that features a mushroom burger. And I said, look, I only know about fish fillets, but I haven't heard fast food chains offering mushrooms. Now, lechon kawali made of tofu, and tofu as a primary product for plant-based. What's the magic, Khristine?
It's really your cooking techniques. If you want to transform tofu or other meat substitutes, then it's easy. There are techniques to do it. If you want to turn it into lechon kawali, really lechon, then you can really get down to it, like even the fat part of it. Yeah, there's ingredients that can make it happen, make it look and have the same mouth feel of those ingredients.
But what are the house rules in plant-based lifestyle? Because our issue, and because we're running out of time, oil, cooking oil. Some people say, prito, plant-based ka pa. You make it swim in cooking oil. And then some people will say, oh, you're not supposed to eat eggs, they're living creatures. Or dairy, is butter a violation of veganism, etc.?
So it really depends how strict you want to get. If you want to go, stop eating fried foods, then you can really do that. Also with cooking oils, I always tell people that there are oils that become toxic once it reaches a high smoking point. So I always cook with coconut oil, refined coconut oil.
Same here, yeah.
Yes. So pagdating sa oils, ganon. Even with olive oil, some people cook with extra virgin when you shouldn't be cooking with extra virgin olive oil, because extra virgin olive oil is basically for salads and dressings. It has to be raw. So you don't really, saute it with those oils. So yes, and it's really easy to go plant-based. I know it may be daunting and hard at first, but it's really easy. All you need to do is educate yourself. People have to educate themselves. They watch a lot of cooking shows online, check out recipes online, check out documentaries online. And then I always tell them to, find support groups. It's hard if you're the only one at home and everyone else eats meat. You find your support groups. There are vegan support groups online here in the Philippines, actually. So that's where you get ideas.
I have to ask this question because I know there's so many Filipinos suffering from diabetes, so many people who are going through dialysis, etc., etc. How does the plant-based lifestyle influence or improve the medical conditions of these people?
Yes. Actually, with a plant-based diet, with those people with chronic diseases talaga, you really have to watch out your diet. Now, you can be vegan. That's good. You can take all the plant-based food, but also watch out for your oils, sugar, and fat. Those are the three things that almost, if you eat out or if you order meals outside, those are the three things that are really has a lot in those food, even in processed foods and canned goods. So sugar, fat, and oils. So if you, like for people with diabetes, you gotta slow down with those ingredients. If not, really eliminate them.
Speed dating tayo, ha? Okay. Speed date. Bulalo without the meat. Can, if people do that, they cook bulalo, sa inyo na yung karne, akin yung gulay at sabaw. Is that acceptable
For
for a plant-based nutrition?
not really, because when you're making a bulalo and then you just take out the meat part, then all the fat and
In the soup.
Yeah, the broth, in other words, is there in the soup.
Okay. In your video, there's this portion where it says seasoning. And many people are kind of, confused about that because, hindi ba plant-based? Dapat wala itong mga toyo, wala itong mga suka, etc. How true is that?
No, that's not true naman. You can use as many as you want. Seasoning, soy sauce is made from soy. That's fine. You have your olive oil, your stuff, all the condiments. Most of the condiments are plant-based naman. Yeah, you just have to watch out. I always tell people before you buy, in a product, when you first see it, it may say like it's plant-based, but you gotta look at the label. Always read the label, because sometimes there's like 1% of like kunyari anchovies or something. Yeah, you always read the label to make sure it's plant-based. And so, seasoning, use as much as you want. That's what helps when you flavor your dish.
Okay. Well, Khristine, I think many people have learned a lot, at least for a starter, for beginner group. And please keep in touch. Let us know what's happening there. And we do hope to visit you, your husband, and your family there in San Juan, La Union. Am I correct? San Juan, right?
Yes.
And we will promote a plant-based diet. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you also, sir. Thank you for having me.
Okay. That's Khristine Tamayo, owner of My Plant Kitchen. You can check her out on the web, and she has her own Facebook page. Now, I will now read our blessing for the week, Colossians chapter 3:17. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. Okay, yun po. And the point is to always give thanks. I'm Cito Beltran, thanking you in turn for joining us this morning, for being subscribers of Cignal TV, and thanking PLDT for their home fiber optic internet. Now let's keep it here on One News PH. Have a good day.